Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking like, why is she even making a video on this topic? Like, we already know what side she's on, all that kind of stuff. But to be honest, I just think this is a really interesting topic and worthwhile discussing. So yeah, I just thought I'd do a video. I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of both sides, renting and buying. So there's not going to be any bias in this video. I'm just going to be speaking the facts, and yeah, hopefully it helps somebody if they're trying to decide between, which to go for. And yeah, without any further ado or time wasting, let's get into the video. So let's start with renting. So in terms of the advantages of renting versus buying, the first is that, the costs initially are a lot lower. So there's no deposit to pay when you're renting, there's no solicitor fees, there's no surveyor fees, and no other like little costs like that. You just need to pay your monthly rent as well as like the initial deposit, which is also equal to a month's rent. Advantage number two of renting is that it's easy to leave your contract if you don't like a place. So if you don't like it, you can just give your 1 month's notice in most cases, and you're out in the month. Whereas if you buy a property, it's a lot harder to get out of that. Number three, you do not have to worry about any maintenance or repairs costs. Your landlord deals with all of that. All you need to do is pay your monthly rent, and that is all. Advantage number four, renting is flexible. So if you're somebody that tends to get tired of places quickly, you like change, or let's say it's even for work reasons. Let's say your work takes you from place to place, maybe you're a consultant, or another job that requires you to travel a lot and live in different locations. You may want to rent because obviously your location's never fixed. And the fifth and final advantage of renting over buying is, let's say, you need a house ASAP, like urgently. It's for you and your family, and you can't wait around to buy a place. You need a home. And so in that kind of position, you'd probably want to go for renting, because obviously you can get a place within like a couple of days. You can find a place, put down a deposit, get referencing done, and you're in the property. It could even be within a week. Whereas when it comes to buying a property, it takes a good few months. Okay, so now let's talk disadvantages of renting. So disadvantage number one is the fact that you do not benefit from capital appreciation if a property increases in value. That all goes to the landlord. You do not get any of that because you do not own the property. Disadvantage number two is the fact that rent payments are generally more expensive than mortgage payments, and so in a month you'll be paying a lot more in rent than if you were to own the property and be paying a mortgage on it. Number three, you're not free to make changes to the property as you wish. Like, you need to get permission from the landlord. So let's say, you want to paint a room or a few rooms in the house, you want to drill holes. Really, in your tenancy agreement, it says that you can't do things like that. And so even if you're considering it, you need to seek permission from your landlord. There's no guarantee or even likelihood that the landlord will let you do it. But yeah, that's just something to factor in when it comes to renting, that you're not free to make changes as you wish. Point number four, if you're an animal lover or you have pets or a pet, most times these are not allowed in rental properties, so that is another significant factor to think about. Okay, so that's the renting side done. Now let's talk about buying. What are the advantages of buying a house over renting? Well, first of all, it's an investment. Even though you're not renting out the property to tenants, you're still going to benefit from capital appreciation when the property increases in value. Advantage number two, once you've fully paid off the mortgage, like, the property is yours. So you don't have to worry about, trying to find another place to live in which you're going to have to pay any money. Like, the property is yours once you've paid it off. Being in a situation like this can be really useful, especially when you get into your later years. So like when you're older, you've retired, like, you don't necessarily want to be thinking about paying a mortgage, do you? Well, I personally wouldn't. And so yeah, I think this is a really key one. Advantage number three is that it works out cheaper in the long run to buy than rent. Well, that's assuming that, you plan to rent out, in the long term and not just like a short term thing. As I mentioned earlier, mortgage payments are definitely cheaper than rental payments, usually a few hundreds. Advantage number four, when a property increases in value, you can use the built up equity to invest in other projects. It could be another house, a bigger house for you if you wanted one. It could be for an investment property. It could be for a number of things. Advantage number five, you can renovate the property all you want. It's yours, the land is yours, everything is yours. So if you want to, pull down walls, you can do so, paint rooms, do whatever, anything you like. And finally, advantage number six, if you decide that you no longer want to live in a place, you can always change it to a buy-to-let property and then get tenants in there. So in that way, you can also get rental income from a property. Right, so now let's talk about disadvantages of buying, versus renting a house. First of all, the initial costs are a lot higher. So as I said earlier, you need to think about putting together a deposit, you need to think about legal fees, surveyor costs, what else? Mortgage product fees, a lot of different things. I've actually got a video talking about all the different costs associated with buying a property. So I'll just link that in the cards here. Disadvantage number two, when you buy a property, you're not in the most flexible situation. So let's say you decide that you don't want it anymore, you want to go elsewhere. It's going to take you, a while, a good few months to sell that property. Whereas if you're renting, obviously you just give your month's notice and you could be out of there before you know it. Disadvantage number three, you're responsible for all maintenance and repair costs. So if anything happens, boiler breaks down, the costs are on you as the owner. And now the final disadvantage of owning a house rather than renting is the fact that if you decide to sell at the wrong time, let's say the property is decreased in value, you may actually lose quite a lot of money. To take it further, you may even be unable to sell the property if you owe more to the mortgage lender than the property is currently worth, or worth at the time that you want to sell. So guys, that's it. Those are the advantages and disadvantages of buying and renting a property. So really it's down to you to look at your situation, look at what's important to you, your goals, and decide for yourself. I mean, personally, you know me already, I'm like team buy, and that's simply because I still see it as an investment. Even if you're not going to put out the property to rent, I feel like it's still an investment, because at the end of the day, when the property increases in value, you're going to benefit from that equity and you can use it towards anything you wish, really. And so I just feel like if you're in a position where you can buy and you're somebody that's not going to be hopping around, in the sense of you may buy this year and then next year you want to buy another property, I'd say definitely invest in buying a property. However, again, if you're somebody that has to travel for work, or you have certain commitments that won't allow you to stay in a certain place, I'd see why you want to rent. But again, I think I'd still go for the option that if I was in that position, I'd probably still buy a place locally, have that available. If I'm not able to stay in it because of work, I'll rent it out to tenants. And then wherever else I'm going, then yeah, I could be renting that place. But at the same time, I've still got a place that is generating money and potentially paying for itself, and maybe even contributing towards the rent I have to pay elsewhere. But yeah, that's a story for another day. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. If you have done, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do also subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and also turn on your bell notifications. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye.